All right, we're rolling. All right, so welcome to our first podcast. I don't even have a fucking name for this yet, but basically the idea of the whole thing is we're just gonna take songs that are like really important and kind of pick it apart and talk to it, talk about them. Um, so I have my buddy Bjorn here. Um, and I guess kind of like one thing I was wanting to say about you, I'll talk a little bit about the song we're gonna do is gonna be Lipstick by Guttermouth, and we chose this song for number one for a pretty good reason, but. Um, I'll let you talk a little bit more about too, and maybe even how you like learn stuff. But like I was like saying, like you're like a Swiss Army knife when it comes to music, meaning like how a Swiss Army knife can like have scissors or fucking hammer, like anything you need. You could just walk up to a guitar, you could play it, bass play it, drum play it, DJ play it, draw, you can story tell, you can play games, almost anything artistic. You seem to have this like just real natural talent to. And also you're like a musical encyclopedia too. So at the time, this is like 2010, and I never even heard the song Lipstick yet. And fucking um you had a very big appreciation for punk, and I know it was a big part of your life at some point, but at this time you weren't really into it anymore. You were playing some wacky shit too, like I mean cool stuff, but it was like what grindcore and like techno-y stuff. And you even told me a little bit about dubstep, which I don't think you liked and I didn't like, but from hip hop rap, like you knew everything about music. You like I said, like not only being like a fucking artist, Swiss Army knife, but you were also like a musical encyclopedia. And I thought I was very into like very like just punky shit at the time, which I still am. It's in my core. And we're fucking in my apartment in North Dakota, probably about to go to some place real classy like Walmart. And there might have been like one other friend. I think maybe maybe one or two people with us. But remember I was getting my jacket on. I was like, all right, let's go. And you kind of had this like weird, like all of a sudden like look, right? And you grabbed my fucking guitar that was like this guitar seen much better days. I think it had only five strings if I want to remember correctly, or it was just super out of tuned. And I don't know why I had a guitar. I couldn't play shit, right? Like fingers of lead. I have no attention span to play music. I'm a very good listener. I'm a good complainer, and I was a good drunk at the time. And I think that's what we were going to do was we were going to go and get more recreational drink, but other drinks that are recreational, wink, wink. But all of a sudden, like you start tuning this fucking thing up, and I think you're like set talking to yourself like, oh, what can I play with just four, five strings or whatever, and you start tuning it, and then bam, you fucking just hit off with these lyrics. And it was like the most ignorant, crass, punky fucking song, super hyper energy. I'll read the lyrics to it here in a minute. And it fucking hit me, man. That song sounded so good. No homo, but I was like falling in love with you at that moment. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it just came out. And it's like the worst song too, when read the lyrics to it, but it was like the definition of like what I needed at that moment and punk. And yeah, you just laid that shit on, and it was like a little bit out of tune, I think, still, but you played it so fast and hyper, and it was perfect. And I was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck was that?" And you're like, "Oh, that's a lipstick by Guttermouth." And I think later on, like I went to the store, and all I could think about coming back home was like, "I gotta fucking hear that song." I think I asked you like two times while I was driving. What was the name of that song you played? And you're like, "Oh, it's a song called "Lipstick" by Guttermouth." So I played. I finally like listened to like the real version. It was good. It's a great song. I still listen to it often. Um, but it was never as good as when I heard it that time, right? Um, so we'll talk a little bit about it, but I'll read the lyrics now to it. So its lyrics are on a Tuesday afternoon, my mom came in my room and she said, "Get the fuck up out of bed and get a goddamn job." So I told her, "Hey, hey, fuck you, mom." And I threw the phone at her head, but I missed and hit her in the snatch. So I slammed the door in her face. "Don't ever march into my room or I'll kick your ass and whoop your ass. Or sorry, I'll kick your ass, call the cops and tell them I'm abused, and you'll wind up in jail while I snowboard and bail. No one to post your bail because daddy loves you more. In fact, he says you're a, and we don't say that part. They keep that part actually omitted because can't cross the line." And then, "Hey, mom, you're worthless, you're lazy, you're stupid, a little overweight. Now give me 20 bucks. Mommy, you're so worthless, you're lazy, you're stupid, a little overweight. Now give me 20 bucks. Nah, make it 50 bucks. Now my mom writes me letters. I write return to sender. Let her rot there in her cell. I watch the dogs mate on her bed. Sorry, mom, but I had to pawn the china, silver, and all your jewelry. I had to eat and rent a bunch of prostitutes like you. You're lazy, you're stupid, Now give me 20 bucks. Mommy, you're worthless, you're lazy, you're stupid, a little overweight. Now give me 20 bucks. Nah, make it 50, make it 75. Why don't you give me your whole goddamn purse? Hope you're having fun rotting in jail. Maybe I'll come see you. Nah. That's it's the most ignorant fucking song, right? And it's like what I liked about it to me, it was like so punk because um like I still played it from time to time, like when like the music's getting a little too like, if I'm with someone that's like listening to country patriotic, like where they're taking themselves too seriously, it's a great like dumbing down song. Like, yeah, you want fucking like it's punk and like it borders on just totally offensive if you can't tolerate that. And then the kid in this is a person that everyone should just fucking hate. As you hear the song, you fucking hate the kid, right? Um, and it's written in the perspective of the asshole, which is really fun. Only a couple other like I can think of like Nirvana's Polly's written in like a perspective of a bad guy, which is very different though. This is very humorous, funny, crass, ignorant, hyper fun. And so I guess I'll ask you this. So I guess starting off, do you remember playing that song that day and like what made you choose that and like how did it come to you?
Um, I just kind of remember it, honestly. I do kind of remember seeing your guitar. And, it was just an easy song to play because it's all power chords. Um,
Which most punk is, right?
I guess just depends, yeah, but yeah, for kids. But it
Mhm.
was just a simple song to play, and I knew it would make you laugh. So,
Yeah. So I'll ask you, when did you first like hear that song? Like, do you remember like when that song like first was introduced to your life?
I
Like,
was probably like 14 or 15.
yeah.
Um, I used to hang out with a lot of punks. I wasn't like at that point I was a little over punk, but like I hung out with a lot of punks. And yeah, mouth was just like uh they came and played in a town very close to ours and all my friends were super into it. I don't know.
Mhm.
But Guttermouth's been around for me for quite a few years.
Oh yeah. And that's what I like too, is like at that time, like you said, you're like this music encyclopedia. You said that you have such a wide range of stuff. And I'm very, I don't want to say closed-minded, but like I have my niche and it's still that way for the most part. Like I kind of, it's all, everything has to like kind of revolve around punk, like whether it's folk punk or hardcore ska, it like all kind of comes into it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's kind of why, again, why I like that. That song was like such like a pure form of punk to me on it because it's fucking it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like you can't take that seriously. Super offensive. So like anyone that's, go on those lines, like, they want to have a song that's like really deep or like borderline, what like you have to accept these type of crass ass songs too, right? So I think it's a good it's very fun. It can very much turn people off when you play it. And like to this day, when I have to remember, I make sure my son's not in the car when I play it. I'm like, fuck, this is a horrible song. But I'll play it for if it's just me and my wife and I'm getting too much of her music or like these songs that seem to like really be too deep and stuff, I can just put this song on and it kind of changes it too. It's like, oh, okay, we're not going to do the back and forth thing because you can't even tolerate this annoying bratty song. Um, which again, yeah, you hear it just identifies on that. Um, and so I guess do you know like the lead singer of Guttermouth is Mark Adkins. And he even got interviewed about this song, which is funny. He's like, you'd be like, what do you have to say to people that, you know, are apparently like treating their parents bad or whatever because of this? And he has to like tell them like, you shouldn't take this my music seriously. Did you know
I didn't know that. That's great though.
that? Yeah, man.
But Guttermouth in general is just a very lighthearted band. Like it's just silly.
Yeah, they're from Huntington Beach. Um, and a lot of their songs are like very just, yeah, exactly, lighthearted. They don't take them too seriously. A lot of just shit talk. Which is especially good, I think, especially when you're like in a young age like that and you're just in that like shit talky, like fucking. And what's funny about that song too is it kind of like coincides with this like, Mr. Self-Destruct like persona that kind of fell into that time too, right? To where um it's It's a horror. It can catch people off guard. You have to like tune in. It's something that you can't just hear in the background and like just have as background music. It seems. And speaking more on that band too, like people complain about Mark Atkins. He's like an asshole, shit like that. And um, I always found it funny is like speaking of a song, it's like to express that to where like you shouldn't take anything too seriously. If you remember, there was this time where like, and I like the bands too, like No Effects, they went into this very like without getting too political too, but like around that time like 2008 or whatever, there was like this rock against Bush, and they're trying to not say make people choose sides or whatever, where with punk it was like very like just anti that game in general. But that politics game that is. And that's why they kind of they got kicked off the Warped Tour one time because they started putting like pro Bush flags. Not they're not pro Bush at all, but they were just doing it as why the fuck are people taking us so seriously? Like, why would you want to know what celebrities think when there's crisis and it's fucking you know um anything on this. I feel like I'm ranting. So I mean, tell me more about your experience with Guttermouth. And so when did you learn to play that? Because you actually had to sit down and learn that song. Was it a hard song for you to learn, or
Oh no, I learned that song in probably like 15 minutes.
yeah, man. And that goes into like when did you get that talent to like let people kind of know about you? Because like you fucking can do anything artistic, right? Like you can draw, you fucking can like we would play magic cards back in that same apartment. And I would think like you're fucking doodling while talking to me. I'm like, what's this fucking dude do? And then you'd all of a sudden show me this like not masterpiece, but it would be like a whole fucking like you know what I mean? Like badass sketch. And you can still do that. You're very good at like you just is like this artistic fucking intelligence that just where did that come from? When did you start? I guess when did you even learn to play guitar?
I was probably, I guess, 12 or so when I started playing guitar. I always had instruments though from the time I was just super little. Mom got me like a piano and a xylophone,
Mhm.
saxophone, and uh, my grandpa was an artist, so it just runs in that side of the family.
And I think it's funny too, is that you're saying, if I heard you right, like you learned it was like you're around 15, were you around 15? Because I know you said you always had the appreciation for punk, but like around 15, were you already like growing out of it? I guess when was like your like real like punk phase, if you will? Like when did you really
Like 13 for sure.
okay.
Like when
Yeah.
I was super into Anti-Flag and Propaganda and uh, all kinds of political kind of stuff.
Yeah. Um Going back to like lipstick with it being, what it is, what appealed you what was your appeal to that song?
Oh, it was just so funny, and I mean, as a kid, just it was like an adolescent angsty anthem. Like, obviously, I wouldn't do that to my mom, but fucking, I definitely had friends and who were like that. It was pretty funny. This was
Yeah,
very.
no, I think it's fun because the lyrics are so like he's such a fucking dick and he thinks he's like right, and yet he's still obviously very dependent on his parent. Like, right, give me $20, I need money, I need your support, but I'm not gonna get a fucking like exactly. It's very very funny, very humorous and sarcastic. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
When you hear it now, what is your thoughts to this day? Like, so like, I think you said you listened to it this week, um, going in knowing that we were going to talk about the song.
Well, like, it's still definitely enjoyable on a nostalgic level, and I still appreciate it for what it is, but it's also just like, God damn it.
No.
it's so ridiculous.
It is for me, it's like one that like I will play like again, very fun. It has that hyperness to it and that good like little like kind of like lullaby on crack
It's
kind of thing. And like you
it's a
said, it's just
bouncy, fun, sing-songy song.
what's that?
It's a bouncy, fun, sing-songy song, but
Yeah, And that's what I like about like Guttermouth in general, especially like I guess what appealed me to punk was like that could have been like a with the how good that like tune and that riff is, which it's a very fun interject thing. It could have been like turned around to being like, yeah, do your homework, do school, like could have made it positive, but they went such an opposite way. And to think like the singer again, Mark Atkins, he was like in his 20s. So that song came out in 97. He was born in 68, and so he was well into his 20s writing this fucking song. I couldn't even imagine it. And what I like to this day when I'll play it is like, especially like if I'm with like my wife or um with someone and like the music starts getting to me or like I'll be with it. And especially like in that time too, I started playing it around with our friends. They want to put on, you remember our mutual friend Chuck and stuff where I would hear these like and I was okay for a while, but like some hip hop songs that are like so, gangster and like really trying to make a point or you can even do it with country where it's like super patriotic, whatever. Like you play this and it just fucking brings the whole room down to a very ignorant level. What the fuck is this whole like thing? Offensive too. You could not play this song around you know, well, I'll say most people because it's just so bratty. It makes people fucking almost I don't want to say cringe, but you know what I mean. Uh
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is a much different time. This is a much different time than when that song was written too.
yeah, yeah, that too. I think like that's another thing. Like, could it would someone like this even get in? I don't know. Would it like could you make a song like this today, or would you get in trouble for it? Or I guess like
What do
especially
you
with
think?
how it is now, like how, people take it too seriously. It's obviously not like the whole point of the song is to not be taken serious. I would think, right?
I have no idea. I wouldn't think so, but I mean, like, also, like, maybe it's just how he felt. Dude could have had a really shit mom out it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just,
Yeah, but the way he screams it, "Get the fuck out of my room!" and well, I know
yeah,
it could be.
everybody goes through that phase.
It
So,
could be. He could have written this to be like very serious or whatever, but I have the feeling
yeah, it's more jokey than
it,
anything.
it wrote it a very just like what's something I can make people laugh and be super offensive with, right? Um, but I still haven't heard a version better than when you first played it. Like that first night, it was like everything that I heard because the way you just tuned it up, fucking shot it out at me. Um, and it was so momentile too. It's just it was a perfect moment. And I if the part I remember about that night too is I think I was being very serious. I was like complaining. I wanted to go. It's fucking and then you just fucking laid that fucking track on me, man. Um, it was very very good, very fun. And now because of that, every time I hear that song, I have to think of you. Like doesn't matter if it's on the shuffle, whatever. I hear that song, I'm like Bjorn. What's he? Should I text this fucker? Like what's he doing? Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. All right. Does this like how long have we been talking? Do you even know?
A good while. It's 5:37.
No, no. I mean, I think that I don't think we should put a time on that. But I guess do you have like anything else to say about lipstick, Guttermouth, or no?
Not really at the moment.
Look at them all. Yeah. Um,
I feel like I should, but
I feel like I should. Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, no, this is why I chose this song too. It's like such a simple like I don't. It's the song itself is like 2 fucking minutes.
yeah.
Bratty, offensive, in your face. And I appreciate you introducing it to me and the way you did and how that song got brought to me. Um, Especially the fact that you chose something like that for me in that time because you weren't really. I think I kind of annoyed you with how much I liked that music at the time. I was always playing punk, and you introduced me, and we'll talk about other things too. But like, the Dead Milkman, and I mean, just you again. You're just this walking encyclopedia of fucking music, man.
Yeah, I was a much different style of punk slash not into punk that much at the time, but I still knew a lot about punk from when I was younger.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Um,
But you introduced me to a lot of good stuff too.
Yeah, sure. And it was still like, and that I think went to like that folk punk and stuff, and well, some ska core, whatever you want to call it, label it. Um, but you knew everything. like anytime like I need to like, find even to this day, new music, you're always finding music and shit and put it out there. And you even make your own music. I know you've done DJing. Um, I mean, you know pretty much every instrument, right? Like, I mean, not to be crass, but you can play piano, right?
Yeah, it's not like I can play piano, but I can
You can
make
play guitar, you can play bass,
it work. Yep, I can play guitar, I can play bass.
saxophone, horns. Can you pretty much play any horn?
Uh, Probably like a saxophone. I don't know if I can play any horn. I haven't really ever fucked with the trumpet, but
Mm.
you give me enough time, like it's just my ear. Like I don't necessarily know how to play, but like my ear tells me what to do.
You're pretty much self-taught too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I wish I had again, I didn't have the attention span for it and like I would just start trying to play and I'd get pissed off and then I would just like listen to the songs that I was wanting to learn to play and then I just go into like listening to it. Yeah. Um, all right, man. Well, we'll keep this one up. This will be like one down. See how it turns out. And then I think we're thinking about maybe Reba, or we can discuss if we, what songs we want to talk about next time. All right.
So
Appreciate you, brother.
yeah, you too, man. Good talking.
Yeah.